Hello and welcome to another Primo Calcio cast. Today we are going to be going over match day 20. I am Michael, joined by Anthony again.
Oh, hi.
All right, so one of the more interesting Serie A seasons that I've seen in recent years because it's kind of like a battle the entire time, and there was a lot of opportunity. I'll start with this. There's a lot of opportunity and a lot of misses, but
Oh,
we are
yeah.
now starting to see a couple real front runners. Do you want to start from the top? Do you have any more overarching themes? Where do you want to start from?
Oh, the overarching theme is failure to execute. I think we see which teams are going to make it to the end here. I mean, who's getting the dirty wins and who isn't? It's pretty clear.
Yeah, we talked a little while ago. I remember, I think it was about two casts ago, and just saying that I have a feeling that some of these teams, like the Fiorentinas, the Lazios, they're gonna start slipping or slipping, given our thumbnail.
Yeah.
And it has been happening. There's definitely been a slide, and I think we're gonna see how good of a coach guys like Palladino are if they can come out of this on top and still maintain a reasonable position. But right now, they are in a little bit of a free fall. We'll see if they can turn it around though. The first match on my list is Lazio Como. You want to start there?
Yeah, Lazio Como, that was a messy game.
Yeah, I saw the highlights of this one. Um, Looked like Cutrone played pretty well. Paz went off early with an injury, unfortunately, so that one is not good because he's a pretty interesting character to watch out there.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the game?
I mean, I thought that Lazio were very sloppy. Um, they're definitely feeling the hurt of having some guys out. But yeah, no, they're very sloppy. Como looked like the more organized team, to be honest with you. I think that there's definitely some talent on Lazio, but you know that this Chona and Delabashiru and Isaacson, Dia, their whole front group quite poor. No lack of composure in finishing, sloppy with the ball, just always in a panic state right now. They need to get some composure. I think they're really missing what's his face, Pedro.
Yeah, he probably does add a lot to just like the class of the team, the experience as well. Since I mean he's been there and done that many times with Barcelona. I don't know. I do think it's also they're missing like a coach who's also been there, done that. And I mean, like I know
Yeah,
that that what's the Lazio's coach name? I forget his name right
Baroni.
now. Yeah, I mean, I know that he's not really he doesn't have the best track record, and it's been kind of a surprising season for him. But I mean, Lazio does have a good team, so I guess we're starting to see some of the chinks in the armor, and this is where like coaches who have been there, done that, and are very experienced won't let you dip too far. Um,
Absolutely.
the red card definitely hurt them for sure,
Eh,
but I mean, these are a couple games out in a row that Lazio has really been dropping the ball.
yeah, and you know, with the red card, I mean, they Pellegrini could have gotten it a couple minutes earlier. I mean, there's an overall lack of composure. Real they're very sloppy. They go all in on this very eager attack, and then boom, it's like counterattacks are just wide open, and they're just chasing after. Their press is really sloppy. They need to get it back under control. 'Cause at the beginning of the season, this was a really beautiful squad, a well-oiled machine, and it's all gone, you know, off the rails.
Yeah, and honestly, Como has been playing a lot better lately too. They seem like they're fighting a little bit harder. They're no longer just like a stepping stone that people just are walking on. They're actually putting up a fight now. Early on in the season, they didn't really have it, but they're starting to find their own way. So they're going to be a harder match for a lot of teams to play against right now.
Yeah, Como's only lost one game in five so far. So
Yep.
the past
No,
five
they're
games, they've
really
only
starting to
lost
find a
one.
form.
Yeah,
Yep.
they look good. They look well organized. What's his name? Fabregas over there. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing a good job.
And I'll tell you, Dosena looks like a pretty good defender. He's super solid. He was in a couple situations where he really had to come through by, you know, he was kind of put on an island by himself, and he did a really good job to, you know, slow things down and get things under control. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, and
he's
I'm always happy to watch good Couture sport too. I like him. I think
yeah.
he's a good fighter. He's talented, and he's the guy who's going to give it. He's going to leave everything out there, which I always appreciate those players. So it's nice to see that.
I mean, Catrone, he's his finishing is solid, man. I mean,
He
it's
is.
a lot more composed than the guys on Lazio right now. So, um, you know, just goes to show.
Cutrone is good. Yep.
Yeah.
No, wasn't really much of a point for Milan to let him go a little while ago. It's not like they made a ton off him, but they do that a lot, so
Yeah, I mean,
it really doesn't surprise
who'd
me.
they get instead? Jeez.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
probably nobody from what I remember.
nobody. Yeah, I mean,
Um, Empoli Lecce.
Empoli,
I
Lecce,
did see a
very
good amount of
surprised.
this game. I was just around when it was happening. It's not like a game that I was super interested in, but there are a couple players that I like watching. Lecce really came through with it. Kristovic had two good goals. They came out really, really fast. I think they got the first two goals within close to 10 or so minutes. Yeah, I'm looking at the 6th and the 11th. So, did you see the game at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think I watched the whole game. I think it was a super balanced game, actually. But the difference to me was Lecce made their opportunities count. Um, and what's her faces? Empoli didn't, man. I mean,
Yeah, it was
what were
pretty
the?
sloppy defending on Empoli's first and the first goal that Lecce scored. I mean, it was a comedy of errors pretty much. Like I think I'm watching it right now. I just remember watching it earlier today when I was kind of catching up on everything. I think Patzela loses the ball, and then two or three people try to close down the Lecce player way
Yeah,
behind him, can't get to him, and then Empoli's right center back doesn't track the right run when the middle center back comes over to challenge the guy. It was just really sloppy. It's like the back three seemed like they just didn't know what to do or how to play with each other. So pretty poor. The second one, same thing. It was their right center back, the Georgian guy, and then their middle center back were just totally caught off guard by a throw in. And that's it. Chris Fish just had a great shot. Like, all right,
yeah.
pretty
No,
bad.
I think both. First of all, I think both of those came off the same side, right?
They did. Yep, they both
Yeah,
came off the same side.
yeah, the right side. And Empoli's had a pretty good defense for most of the season. I actually really think Vidi, he's happened to be the left side guy, but I think he's been having an excellent season. People have really been liking Ismaili. I don't think he's that good. I mean, I think Ismaili is super mistake prone. Um, I mean, yes, they have had a solid defense for most, but if you look at games like this, especially games lately, he has not been nearly as good as he was in the beginning of the season. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's
wouldn't go spending a lot of cash on that guy. Just saying.
there's some youngsters. I think that both VT and both the Georgian kid. I can't remember what his name is, like a Gogo Khalidze or something like that. I think he's
Yeah,
also young, but yeah. I mean, Empoli's got some talent for sure. I like watching both Esposito and Colombo. It's nice to see how they progress.
yeah.
And then Dorgu is on Lecce, so those are some kind of key
Dorgu
players
was
to watch.
awesome.
So
Yeah, Dorgu was awesome. And
yeah, he'll leave in the summer for sure.
yeah, yeah, and Baskiroto's always good. I really like Baskiroto. So he's,
Yep.
Lecce's a tough team to break down. So they really are, and a lot that's that the Baskiroto back there leading the charge on that.
Mm-hmm.
But no,
No,
I
Gianpaolo is
definitely.
actually doing a pretty decent job right now.
Oh, he's a good coach. He's got him pretty well organized.
He's good for this type of
Yeah,
level. I think when he came to Milan, I was like, that's really not the type of team for him. It's like Fonseca. That's not the team for you. You know, he
everyone's
should be
got a
like some
level.
like mid packer. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got a level.
Well,
Um,
we're gonna see if Bastoni's level is Lazio or not, because I think he may be a little bit. We're gonna find out if he's just above his if his level, because
oh, the Lazio coach.
yep, same with Palladino. Like these two guys are, oof, come on, man, let's. They're in a great spot in the table. They're off to a good start here. They're in the mix. They're in the hunt. I like seeing these teams up there fighting. Slipping, baby.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we actually start getting into some of the biggest slips right in a row. So we have Udinese versus Atalanta ends 0-0.
Hmm.
Um, Atalanta is one of the teams who's actually fighting not just for top four, but for the Scudetto, and not looking very good.
Yeah. Well, Atalanta in general, I think that they typically fall off at the end of the season.
They do. They go in waves, big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think and Gasparini deserves the praise. I think in our first episode we were saying, like, is it Gasparini? Is he finally got the recipe right, or has the game deteriorated to a point with the lack of defense in general that it suits him? And maybe it's a little bit of both, but um, one thing's for sure, like old habits die hard. Is he gonna fade out at the end of the season again? So, kind of
I
a
mean,
critical
that's
point
two
here.
draws on the road. I mean, it's not bad, but he really needs to keep pace because Inter and Napoli are not drawing games, right? And they're the
Right.
ones who are starting to set the pace now, and they're starting to run away with the league. And Atalanta can catch up. They cannot have a couple more mishaps like this, though. They have to start pulling it back in there and had to be very, very clinical in the next few games here. Because if they drop more points, then Inter and Napoli will run away with it.
Well, I mean that's 4 points now, for Atalanta.
Yeah, in the past two games that they've
In the
dropped to
past
them,
two
yeah.
weeks, yeah.
Hmm.
And
I mean,
this one was
that's pretty average,
unacceptable.
but
The
yeah,
Udinese one is unacceptable. That
I agree.
you
Udinese is
can't.
a good, solid team, but if you
Yeah.
want to challenge for the Scudetto, you have to beat these teams, right? You can't be stumbling against teams like that. I'm not saying they're bad. Udinese is good, but you can't stumble against them.
No, you can't. I mean, what did Napoli do against them recently? I believe that was a 3-1 win. Yeah, Napoli beat them 3-1. So you gotta and Napoli's not an offensive juggernaut by any means. So this is
No,
tis the time for Gasperini to step it up. But yeah, we'll see. They got a big game tomorrow. That's for sure.
yeah, there's a lot of games coming up right now, so we'll kind of
Mhm.
see. We'll do a little preview at the end here. So Atalanta, or we talked about Atalanta Udinese. Let's move into the next two teams that had a lot that I thought they really, really needed to win. The next one on the docket is the Derby della Mole, Torino versus Juve, 1-1. I
Yep.
did see that this game in full. Um, and pretty typical Juve. They
Yeah.
like to get a lead and they can never hold on. It's like I don't know the past 3 weeks. I think Juve. No, I think yeah, I can't remember, but there was one game that they won. But the past several weeks, they're like leading the game, and they always get caught by something.
They
They cannot hold on to a lead, which is very strange to watch a Juve team not hold on to a lead.
one win in 5 matches. Yeah, it. I think we talked about the lack of class, lack of character. I think we're going to probably get into it when we do our Juventus mid-season breakdown. Um, that's almost a play on words at this point.
Yildiz was good again. I
Yildiz
mean,
is the
he's
best
always
player on
been
the
pretty
team.
good.
We
Yep.
have a 19-year-old carrying the team. So our $130 million midfield was dreadful. It almost was non-existent. Um, yeah, I mean it's pretty bad. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of like the other team. Like people on the internet are like, oh, maybe we got to try this formation or this set. I'm like, guys, it's a matter of getting the loose balls. It's a matter of hustling back when you lose the ball. It's a matter of being tactically aware, getting in position, not letting your man, not losing your man. It's the simple things that they're doing wrong that are a major
Especially if they're
problem.
always getting a goal, but then they're getting scored on. It's like,
Yeah.
you do need to learn how to lock down a game, especially if your team is not that good, which I really believe you as team is not that good. I mean,
No,
you
they're not
go
that
across
good.
this team, it is not a good team.
No.
I mean, like Di Gregorio is a good goalie, right? Gatti's good, but he should be a backup. On a real UVA team, he should be a backup, right? He shouldn't be a starter. Um, Kalulu Price shouldn't even be there. Savona is a good youngster. McKenny fights his heart up. He's not like some top class player. Thuram has probably the skills to progress further on, but he's not there yet. Douglas Luiz has been pretty awful since he joined. Coop Miners has been really bad. He's probably been the worst signing so far, crazy enough.
Yeah.
Yildiz is awesome. Mangula is serviceable and decent. Nico Gonzalez is hit or miss. He just hasn't had a lot of continuity, so I can't judge him. That's the whole team.
Right.
Like, that was the starting lineup. That's really not
Terrible.
great.
It's really bad, and um, there's no signs of it getting much better. The only good thing is everyone's beating each other up. So this
Exactly right.
there's two races going on in my opinion. You got first through third, Napoli, Inter, and Atalanta, right? And Napoli's starting to separate from
Yeah.
Atalanta. Inter still got 2 games in hand, so they're
And
actually
then every
technically
single
in first if they
single other
win
team,
out.
right?
Yeah,
Like
and
the
then
next like 5 teams, six
yeah,
teams.
fourth through eighth, really fourth through ninth. If you want to throw Udinese in the mix, fourth through 10th. If you want to really go with a long shot with Roma, you got to draw the line somewhere. Fourth through eighth, Lazio through
Yeah,
Milan
I'd
are all in
say
the mix.
those 5 teams. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's a
yeah.
very very tight race,
There's
and
8 teams in some drama. The top three, and I think it's going to eventually be just the top two. We'll see, but
yeah,
yeah, and then the remaining 5. Yeah,
yep.
I agree with you.
Well, Juventus needs to have a couple other their guys step up. They cannot be carried. Their two best players like were Bangula and Yildiz. Those are what two
Yeah, the
19-year-old
kids.
kids. Come on.
Was Vlahovic injured this game?
Yeah, Vlahovic is mysteriously injured, and because we're trying to trade him or whatever, and he's been having
Okay,
hissy
so
fits.
there's some drama going on.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's some drama going on. Danilo's been cut from the team.
yeah,
Just real bad stuff, real bad personnel management right now too from my man June Lee. But yeah, I mean it's even guys like Savona who were really awesome, especially at the beginning of the year, shutting big names down. I mean, dude, he's just like
look a little
out of
shaky.
sorts. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they're they're losing the plot a little bit. I mean, they're at least
Yeah.
stable. And even Moto's talking differently now about like, oh, we're one up. We want to get that second goal to really secure it. It's like that's like what bad coaches do, man. Just sit on the fucking lead. Like actually lock it down.
Yeah, or at least they try to like adapt their style to
Yeah.
something else, because something is not working. I mean, you don't really see that type of stuff from like a top coach who says, you know what, maybe we'll try this, and maybe we'll try this. No, they just this is the way that we would play. Maybe they use confirmation, but this is the way we play. This is how we're gonna do it, and they just believe it in their method.
It's halfway through
Um,
the season, I mean, and like, look,
yeah,
look at what good coaches do. What does Conte do when he comes into Napoli? First step, stabilize, lock down the
yeah.
defense.
He goes and gets Buongiorno, right? He goes and gets the best defender in Serie A. Rahmani's always been solid, and it really depends on who's next to him with how good he plays. So he gets a guy who's good next to him. Boom, Napoli's great at defense already.
Yeah, lock that defense down. When Ranieri comes into Roma, that's a team in complete and utter disarray. What's the first thing he does? Locks the defense down. Let's get this defense stacked. Let's get organized, and then let's build from there. That's what good coaches do.
Yep,
And one of the things I liked
agreed.
about Moto when he came in, this is exactly what his focus was.
Oh, for sure. He was not letting goals in Juve. I think, had the best defense in the league. They weren't
It-
scoring to win the games, but they were, and there's a lot of ties, but it doesn't matter. They were actually locking the games down. Now they're getting a little bit leaky. I
oh
think
yeah,
because he's kind of trying to push more and do a little more stuff. It's like you don't really need it.
no,
If you can have that same defensive mentality and just sneak one goal a game or so, you're gonna be up there in the hunt, at least for top four. You're not gonna be going Scudetto, but top four for sure.
we're getting worse as we get more adventurous. I don't know if he listened to the fans cry or not, but um, we're still drawing, and we're drawing more games. We're doing worse than we were. We look worse than we were, and that's because we've given up on this commitment to team defense, in pursuit of more offense. So it's not a good look. And we got Atalanta next week, or tomorrow. So I'm hoping that because Atalanta is such an attacking force, Moto's forced to kind of do what he did against Manchester City, which was the game we looked the best. Just D up, counterattack. But great, no problem.
Yeah, hopefully see more of that, and they're probably more willing to do that because they're going up against Atalanta. I think he's going to do a little more pressure against a smaller team, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much Juve all season. Next up, another team who really needed to win,
Oof.
and I thought was going to pull it off because of the momentum
Me
alone,
too.
but lo and behold, Milan is still Milan right now. 1-1 Cagliari, and no matter what type of manager you have in there, you can motivate the guys all you want, but the team still has to do what they need to do. And
Yeah.
they tie. They're basically a Jekyll and Hyde team too. Like they will come through, and they've had no problems beating Inter this season. Even Fonseca beat Inter, so it's not like, oh my god, it's
Right.
what a win. Let's be real. The Supercopa, in my opinion, was only important for one thing. Yes, they made like 9 million euro on it. But what's actually important was it gave the guys confidence, right? And it let the new coach, Conceição, start on a high, so maybe he gets the team quicker to follow him, right? That's what it
Right.
was important for. The Supercopa itself is a crap trophy. It means nothing. The celebration should have stopped it immediately. And I did like, how Conceição said, "No, we're done. Like you shouldn't be focusing on that. If you're actually excited to win like a Supercopa, basically, like you shouldn't be at Milan. Basically, saying if you keep celebrating that, you should just it's time to focus on the next game." But Milan did look in chunks of this game, both in the first and second half. Excellent. They had bigger chunks where they looked better. However, they still didn't get the job done, and that's really all that matters. And it's almost similar to Juve here. At least I don't know how. Like, I mean, Juve doesn't really outplay teams much, but Milan was definitely outplaying Cagliari for most of it. But there was a couple things on who's the guy on Cagliari's team? He was playing great.
Oh, Caprile,
I
the
can't remember
goalie.
his name. Felici. Felici was doing a really good job down that left flank. He had a couple of great runs. He was the one who started the run for the goal. It didn't come off his side in the end after the pass, and it was a pretty poor stop. But the effort from Fofana was gross. He misplaces the pass to start it all off. Felici runs at him. He gives the most lame attempt at a possible tackle out there, and then just jogs. He actually
Lazy
walks.
recovery. Gives the
It's
ball up and
so
then
bad. I haven't seen a guy stop worse than that in a long, long time. And no, he's not the only one to blame for this, but that's your primary suspect. That's supposed to be your D mid, your lockdown guy. Get out of here.
well, and
Everybody knows Milan needs a D mid. That's not the guy.
most importantly, that kind of behavior is completely and utterly unacceptable at any level in any sport. Like when you give the ball away, when you give the puck away, when you make a mistake, you do everything you can to earn your way back to fixing your
That's right.
mistake.
If you don't get there, it is what it is. But you gotta be busting your ass to get back,
Yep.
and that was just so embarrassing. But it's what happens when you get paid many millions of
Yeah.
euros to play a game like this. Like the pay's so high, they get one good contract, they're all set. Like I do feel like that has a
These guys
massive
don't
amount
give
to
a
do with
shit.
it.
Oh yeah, no, for
No,
sure.
they're all mega millionaires,
Yeah.
whether they get one good contract and that's it. But on top of that one, it wasn't great marking, but either way, that was a terrible attempt at a stop from Magnan. So really, you can blame whoever you want, but it's Fofana and Magnan on that one.
Yep.
Oh, this person should have covered that one. This person should cover that. I mean, really, like that ball went right underneath Magnan's hands, and Fofana let the whole play happen. So if you're gonna blame people, those are your culprits.
Yeah.
Good poacher's goal from Morata. I thought Leao was pretty good, but then he kind of faded. But he did show a lot more signs of effort in this game. So maybe that's Conceição being Portuguese.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's Calabria played a lot better than Real, so it's nice to see that. But the team just isn't there, and we'll see how Conceição does in Serie A. I know when we talked last time, we said, "Hey, listen, it's easy to get up against your Inters and your
Yeah.
Juves." I want to see how Conceição does against the grindy teams, the teams where you have to like break them down in Serie A. It's very, in my opinion, Serie A is very hard to coach in because even like the 20th place team is going to bring it with some good tactics and some low blocks and just be very frustrating, which you don't normally get in a lot of other leagues because sometimes they'll attack you too, which is exactly what you want. If Cagliari would have just came out and just attacked the whole time, it would have been better for Milan. Um, that's not what they did. They attacked in waves, and it was effective. So let's see how he does, how he adapts. It's early on, but that was a massive chance for Milan to actually rejoin the race for top four,
Hmm.
and they fumbled it. Just like Fiorentina, just like Atalanta, just like Juve. There were so many misses this week. But
Yeah,
that's
and
about all I got to say about that match.
this whole season and these two different races going on are going to come down to these misses. I mean, it's going to come down to the provinces really because they're all going to beat each other up enough when they play each other. And honestly, those point swings will matter, but there's so
Yeah,
many points given away right now against these small teams that it's making these face-offs matter even more. And yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Atalanta can't be giving points away to Udinese, man. You just can't.
So what I always say too is like, yes, like it feels great to go beat your rival, and that's good for like the more tribalistic fans. I'm in my younger years, I was much more tribalistic. I don't really care as much anymore. It's
Well, the games
great,
mattered more
and
back then too, though. It wasn't just that.
yeah, there was more like actual
Yeah,
hatred.
the players
Yeah,
gave a shit. You had the same guys there every year. I mean these are vapid robots. They don't even want to be there,
yeah.
so
When you
it's
have like
harder to care
Zanetti
about
on
those
Inter
games. Yeah,
and Maldini and Gattuso on Milan, it's a much different game. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like you got
much
characters like
different game.
Ibrahimovic on both sides. It's
Yeah.
different characters. So it does not mean as much. That's for sure. But either way, like it's not. That's great and it feels nice for like a couple days, but what really matters is you clean up the games you should win. If you clean up your games you should win and then you kind of battle it out against the top guys, you're probably going to be in the race for the Scudetto.
Hmm. Oh, I agree. It's there's a couple teams that are doing it right now, and they're doing it with two different methods, that they're using, and we'll get there when we get there. But I will like to say as we move on to the next game, when we were talking about coaches coming in and stabilizing with defense
Yeah,
first, a
it's
coach
actually a perfect
that's
transition there.
yeah, a coach that's doing a really good job of this is Vieira. Um,
Yep. What's his record now with them since he's taken over? I
since
think
he
he's
has
like only lost
taken
one game
over,
maybe in the past several games.
yeah, he's lost one game in five. He's got two wins, two draws, and a loss in 5 games.
Yeah, no,
Um,
Genoa, and they just look better.
yeah, they look
Genoa's
way better. They're not
way more
conceding.
stable than they were under Gilad.
Yeah, it was a really goofy goal, but hey, man, it's nice to see Moretti look good. Moretti's been looking really good since,
Moretti looked very good.
yeah, since what's his name's been there. He's been really really solid. So
I think he's a little more free.
yeah, definitely.
Like because even though it puts his position out wide on the left in the lineup, he was central all the time, and I think that's
Yeah,
actually where he's best. He's best when he can drift centrally. He's a very creative player. He's very talented. He's not like lightning fast, but he doesn't need to be. He's agile. He's crafty. He can use both feet. He's a good player. I've always liked Miretti, which means Juve will full out sell him at some point.
oh yeah, no, they're definitely gonna sell him at the end of the
Yeah,
season
if you have
because
talent
yeah,
and you're young, he's gonna sell you.
yeah, Giuntoli doesn't like young players, especially Italian players, so he'll be gone.
Especially if you're homegrown. Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah. But and, speaking of another Italian player that's doing pretty well, is Pinamonti has definitely had a really good game too, just as his work in general. Very unselfish striker there. And then Frendrup is certainly a player that is going to get a contract in the summer from a bigger team.
Yeah, I think teams should go and nab him right now. A lot of the groups that I chill with a lot on like Milan forums and whatnot. Me and a couple dudes have been on the French bandwagon. There's one guy's on there who's been pushing that guy for a while, and I definitely agree with it. It's a great pickup. He's a tackle beast, and I mean it wasn't like it was a skillful goal, but you make your own luck, right? You get in the right spot, you do your thing, and you make your own luck.
Yeah.
Like we saw it in the Super Copa. Why not here? But no, he's a good hard worker. Yeah, I thought Moretti and him were more of like the standouts here.
Yeah, they've been some of the
From
best players on the team. De Winter, another Juve outcast, let's say. He's been looking pretty good too. So I know he came back from an injury and has been good. Zanoli's been looking good from he's owned by Napoli. Um, and then
yeah,
Suzuki gets a lot of a lot of people are telling me how good the Suzuki guy is, and he has
I
had
think
some
he's
good
okay.
games. Man, he makes a
I, I think
lot
he's
of
okay.
mistakes. Yeah, I'm not so sure.
He is young, so you never know because like as you get older, those
Yeah,
things sometimes do fade, right? As long as you have the raw potential, which he does have the raw talent. So let's see how the next like season or two goes, and that's gonna tell me if he's gonna get the maturity to cut down the mistakes. But yeah, I agree. He's got a lot of talent, but we'll see how he progresses. I'm not loving him right now though.
no, same. You know, a major part of class is consistency. You know, a lot of these guys at this level are going to be able to have a good game. They're going to be able to make good
Yeah,
plays. The consistency of limiting your bad plays and continuously putting in good performances week in and week out.
yeah, it
You
does
know,
does dictate how good you actually are. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean that's a sure sign of class. So and it's natural as a young player to be inconsistent. But you know that needs that just that's something you got to iron out as you get older, you know. And then that's just to beat a dead horse. So I mean that's Juventus' problem. It's a lack of class because they're inconsistent and blah blah blah. But no, I think he's a player that we're gonna he definitely has ability, but let's see if he can actually you know
Mm-hmm.
get it under control.
No, it's the main takeaway is Genoa keeps rolling. They're looking better and better.
Yeah.
Let's see how they progress. Let's move on to the next game on the docket. One of the teams that's actually handling their business is going to be Inter.
Yep.
Inter Venezia 1-0. Goal from Darmian in the 16th minute, and then nothing after that.
Well,
Venezia allowed 2 shots on target. That's it. So
who's this Venezia goalie, man?
the Venezia goalie is
What's
Filip
his name?
Stankovic, I believe. I think it's
Yes,
Filip. Yeah, it
yes,
is. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, Filip
Stinky,
Stankovic.
stinky bitch. He's good, dude. This guy's a good player. And Caviglia had another good game, by the way. So Caviglia looked good. Stinky bitch looked good. You know,
Oristanio has
Poyan
always been
Paulo looked good.
pretty solid.
Orestano. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Venezia's been looking better. They're not a
Yeah.
good team by any
No.
means. They've got a couple players. They've been looking decent. They can give. They do challenge the big teams a little bit, surprisingly. They're a good gritty team.
They're gonna look. So once again, I think that Inter has a depth problem. They're getting through these games that other teams are not. So obviously their depth is better than teams like Lazio, teams like Fiorentina, teams like Juventus has a holder issue. Milan has a holder issue. They don't. I don't think they have. Milan has a talent issue. It's more of a motivation issue. But Aslani, these games get pretty sloppy. The worst I ever see him play is when they have Taremi and Aslani. Taremi just doesn't score. Aslani's just weak in general.
Yeah, he's a good like crafty player, but he doesn't have a lot of like, defensive wherewithal. He's not a great tackler. He's not very positionally sound. He's good with the ball. He's good with passing. I think the goal came from a long pass from him that was quite accurate to Lautaro. That's what he's good at.
Yeah.
He's not a good defensive presence, and you lose that when Hakan's out. You lose the D mid positional sense, like the threat recognition. You lose the tackling. And it's not like Hakan's an amazing tackler, but he's good. And Aslani is not a good tackler, so
Well, Hakan
you
is
lose that.
Shalnaglu is very combative though. He likes to get into the
Yeah,
fight, and that's something that Aslani just doesn't do. And I know Shalnaglu is a super smart player. There's something to be said for
yeah, smart
IQ
player.
as well. Yeah. So, and then Zelensky, whenever he's out there, Zelensky's a player I like a lot, but he is definitely not a major defensive contributor. And that's also a
No,
problem.
I
So
don't even think he's actually been that good
he's not been
for
good.
Inter
No.
overall. I think it is a signing that like we thought on paper that this is a great signing. Like he's not that old. Was one of the best players in Napoli for years. This is perfect. It's gonna strengthen their midfield. It's been a bust in my opinion so far. I mean, it was objectively like a smart signing, but he just hasn't panned out.
Yeah,
It is what
it's.
it is.
I still say it's a smart signing, but yeah, he has. At some point, it isn't. And if
No,
Inter
it
was
was a
my
good
team,
signing. It
I'd
just
be
didn't
yeah.
work out.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Sometimes it
free.
happens, man.
He's a
Yeah, I mean, it
class
happens.
player. He's experienced. He's free. But they are beating teams like Venezia 1-1 where other teams are not. So that does. But it was a struggle. And Venezia had some good opportunities.
Yeah,
They really
it
did.
was a struggle. Yeah, it
You know.
was not like a clean and clear, like, oh, what a dominating performance. But
But
you
in a
said
week, in a week when
I am
everyone's
starting to come
stripped
around
up,
to what you're saying. It is they do have a bit of a depth issue. I mean, you can't with Barella, if Barella or and I'll add Barella or and Çalhanoğlu are out, that team's gonna struggle, man. Those guys are
oh yeah,
so good at what they do. They hold down that whole midfield the way that it should be. I mean, Mkhitaryan is nice, but you could replace him with a couple people. It's really Barella and Çalhanoğlu, and when they're out, it's totally different. And then when Thuram's in, entirely different. Like those,
yep.
and you're seeing a massive difference in Inter without those guys. So yeah,
Well,
they really do need to actually strengthen a lot to keep their role going, or else Inter's going to have a drop off if they keep doing like these, like the smaller transfers and never. And I mean, I don't know how their financial situation is now, but if they don't make a couple big moves, like maybe one for midfield and one for attack, to kind of strengthen it in the future, they're going to have a drop off.
I'll tell you, as someone who's lived with Beppe Marotta for a long time at Juventus, Beppe definitely struggled year one. We were a very poor team. We finished seventh place, blah, 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 after finishing seventh year before that, so it was a wash. And then he brought Conte, and obviously everything changed. But when Conte left and Allegri came in, obviously we went on to win, five straight. But the players he was bringing in at that point in time, they were shrewd purchases, I suppose. But there was definitely a dip in class from the guys that we had originally to the guys that we were bringing in for the most part. I'm not talking, obviously Dybala was a good, a good pickup. Pjanic was pretty good, but there was just a dip in class overall. Um, and he did. I think he did a better job with Juve than he's doing with Inter. With Inter, I mean, guys like Zelinski, Augusto,
Man,
Aslani,
I think Augusto's a good signing.
Taremi.
He when he comes in, like yeah, like
He's
it's hard
okay.
to replace DiMarco, but I think
He's
he's always
okay,
good.
man. He's
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 always
he's
dangerous, man.
okay.
He's always
He is.
dangerous.
Yeah, he's okay. I don't know. I just
I don't think that's the issue. I think the midfield is the issue.
you think the midfield's
I
the issue.
think the wing backs are okay. They
I
could
think
use
I
somebody
think their
else to cover
strikers are,
Breeze.
are bad. I think Taremi's bad. I
I
I
agree. I think the
Taremi,
midfield depth and the striker depth.
yeah. The defense is good, but they're still living off Bastoni and De Vrij. So I mean,
Yeah. No, I mean
those are
they're gonna
guys
have
that
to
have been
replace
there since
somebody.
2020. Yeah,
Darmian is not super young. He's just a smart player. He'll
Darmian's
be
awesome.
around for good years. And Acerbi is gonna be done pretty soon too. So
Yeah, he's not even playing
I
at
mean,
all right now.
Sommer's older too. So like they're gonna have to make some changes. Like they actually need like an entire spine. They need
Yeah,
one per spot. CB, CM, striker. Like
yep.
it's time for them to start chipping away now. But hey, they're still pulling it off.
Yeah, they are.
And even with that depth, they were one of the only two teams that really pushed forward and got through. And they're now starting to show that they might be able to be the only ones who can
They're
challenge
still
Napoli
the
right now.
best team. They're still the best team in Serie A. There's no
Starting
doubt
lineup,
about it.
yes.
Starting lineup is I think by a significant margin the best team in Serie A.
I don't think by a significant margin, but I
Yeah,
would
I
say they're the
do.
best.
I mean, Thuram, Lautaro, even Lautaro on a bad season, he's still
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
That midfield of Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, Barella is amazing. DeMarco, Dumfries has been having a great season.
He has been. This is actually the best I've seen Dumfries play.
Yeah,
Usually he's kind of like has a good game, then he has a bunch of stinkers. He's been really good.
yeah. I
Dumfries has been the best I've seen him by far this year.
absolutely. No, I think it's by a pretty significant margin the best lineup, but um, I don't know. What's his name?
One
Inzaghi
or
has
two
not
key
been
players get
dominating the Serie
injured.
A.
Yeah, one or two players get injured. It's a whole new team. Anybody can challenge them at that point, which is crazy. And it shouldn't be like that. And they got to play Champions League.
Yep.
I don't think they have the depth to challenge Champions League. They got
That's
to count on their guys to stay healthy. I mean, with this issue, if they don't make some signings in January, they're not going to be able to compete in both Serie A and Champions League. I don't think they will. I
That
don't
was
think they can do
actually
it.
the point. That's why I wanted to get to the whole depth thing because obviously they're beating Venezia. They're doing a good job. They're the only. But yeah, they have Champions League matches coming up very soon, and this team is Italy's best shot. It's our best shot of having a team go deep into the Champions League. I mean, they're our best team. Yeah, if they don't have a little bit, and like Fertesi wants out, he wants to be sold like now in January, because he's not playing enough. Boo freaking
That's all
who?
these guys are. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody just like everybody's babies these days, so
yeah,
it's expected. That's fine. If he wants to leave, he wants to leave. But
yeah.
Inter needs to make some moves.
I think
They
so.
really do.
They need to make
I
some
think in
night
January they got
moves.
to make like at least two
Hmm.
nice, solid players who can be competitive now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Um, we move on to another one of the main slips here. Two
Ooh,
teams
yeah.
with different objectives. I guess similar objectives. They're both trying to go for top four. Roma's much more out of the mix. Bologna is right there in it. And um, the handball, yeah, hit his hand, but I mean, what do you want to do with it? So I didn't really agree as much with the last penalty, but I mean, it was a pretty even game overall. So, but yeah, 2-2 Bologna Roma. None of them gained anything, and they both really could have used 3 points. And once again, as with many other teams this week, nothing happened. It all stayed the same, 2-2.
Yep.
Dalinga and Ferguson, the goals from Bologna, Salamakers and Dovbyk with the goals from Roma. Yeah,
I
Salamakers has been playing great under Ranieri.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you said it when we were watching the match. I think you said it about 60 minutes in. You go, it's amazing how much different a team Roma is when Dybala isn't absolutely amazingly on his game.
Yeah, he didn't not have a great game.
Yeah,
He wasn't sparking the
yeah.
attacks like he normally does. He just wasn't on it. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't like he's been the past 4 or 5 weeks.
Mm,
And you saw it. I mean, Roma did not look like the better team. I actually thought Bologna looked like the better
yep.
team for most of the game. Not all of it. Roma had good spells, but yeah, it wasn't the same Roma we've been seeing for the past few weeks that looked really good.
No, I mean Roma definitely is all about Dybala, and yeah, if he isn't having a world class game, and he's always going to do classy things when the ball's at his feet. But Bologna is a very aggressive pressing team. They're a very high octane team, high energy. They did a good job of kind of neutralizing it with just energy everywhere else. Like it was hard to get the ball to him. That kind of thing. Um, so yeah,
But Bologna's a cool team, man. I mean, I
there.
think that they do have a lot of like I said, like high energy hard workers. I think Dominguez was excellent. He's been impressing me since the
He's
beginning of the
awesome.
season. I think that guy's a really good player. Um, yeah, I want to kind of give a shout out to that dude. That been awesome the whole game, and he's definitely been a player to watch there.
Well, this is a team that's built by that Sartori guy who was at Chievo Verona. That he did a super good job with them. Sartori is and Sartori is going to be joining Roma. Sartori a couple years ago hired Marco Di Vaio to be the sporting director to actually go after and find these talents. So Marco Di Vaio has been doing a great job. This Bologna team, has a ton of really good players, really good talent. It's very well built. So they survived through injuries. They survived through their big money sales last year. They sold like their two best players last year.
Hmm.
And their captain Ferguson was injured up until a few
Yeah,
matches
he's just
ago.
had a couple
Yeah,
games under his feet. So yeah,
they've stayed. They have a new coach. They're sustaining all this and charging through. This was in my opinion a big loss of points here because this was a winnable game.
especially for Bologna. Bologna would
Yeah,
have been at 31 points with the game in hand. They clean that up. They move into basically right next to Lazio and like fifth place, but like 2 points out of it. That was a
yeah.
huge, especially in like the last minute of the game. That was a really huge. I guess it's not even a loss, but it's a tie. It's a huge tie for them to have suffered there because they were definitely looking like they were gonna clean it up, but
I mean,
didn't. So
Bologna right now. Okay, here's perspective: is 7 points out of fourth place. That seems like a lot, but they have 2 games in hand on the fourth place team, Lazio. They have 2 matches in hand on Lazio, so they have an opportunity to potentially be 1 point out of fourth place. When they drop points
yeah, with
against
with the
games like,
win right there, man, they would have been 31. Yeah,
yep,
I know, man.
that's huge.
Yeah,
So like this
massive.
whole week is about missed opportunities, and it's like none of these teams can get it together, and it's always just a little bit of lack of concentration, a little bit of slop. Like Roma got the upper hand in that match. Bologna came back firing, fighting back, fighting back, fighting back. Although I will say that last penalty was absolute. Um, what
I
you
mean,
call it?
I've seen worse ones given. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but I didn't like it because like the guy's his hands on his back, and then it kind of bounces through. I don't know. I mean,
I think it's
what else do
bullshit.
you want him to do with his hand? Like he's guarding the guy. Like are
Yeah,
you supposed to? Is everybody supposed to stand like a stick and put your hands behind your back at all times during the box?
yeah.
But hey, it hit it, so it is what it is. I've seen worse, but it was a bit soft for my liking.
Oh, I thought it was definitely soft. But anyways, it happens. The modern game is like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it
So
wasn't atrocious, that's for sure.
no. But yeah, no. I just wanted to get a shout out to Sartori and Devile for doing such a good job, and then yeah, hopefully Sartori brings that whole like stabilizing presence and articulate transfer structure to Roma because Roma has a lot of talent there, but it's sloppy. It's just all over the place. It's just like they just bought everybody they thought was good and just threw them on the team. So they have a lot
Yeah,
of players there that just aren't fitting in, and they need to clean that up because that salary is on the books. That's money spent. That's expenses that they need to be accounted for with the new fair play rules and stuff like that. So yeah, Sartori runs a real tight ship, so he's going to help them out a ton.
it'd be interesting to see when that takes change.
Hmm.
We move next into the second to last game of the week, which was Napoli Verona, one of the other big teams who is cleaning up when they should. They've been the most consistent, I would say, as far as doing that. I mean, it's Napoli 2-0 Verona. Really good goal initially, but I guess they gave it to Montivo's own goal. But I mean, it's basically Di Lorenzo's goal.
Yeah, beautiful goal.
And then Anguissa coming through again. He had a rough start of the season. I thought Anguissa wasn't very good the first few games, and then the past several he's been excellent. I thought he's been top notch recently.
Well, we've been
But
saying
Napoli
it.
just looks good, man. Napoli just looks good.
We've been saying it. Antonio Conte teams pick up. They actually showed a stat before the match. It's one of the. I think these panels are pretty poor on what you call on Paramount Plus, but they showed a stat of his record in all his seasons that he's won titles with Chelsea, with Juventus, with um, Inter, and his second half is always super strong. And it's because of exactly this. Like once again, just to rag on the panel a little bit. For the past like 5 weeks now, I mean they've been saying it all season. Oh, Conti ball, it's so boring. Catenaccio. They don't even watch the games. Napoli, since before the Lazio game, has been attacking their opposition every single match. Their goal is to get a goal up. If it's a weaker team, they try to get two, and then they're going to sit on it. That's fine. But
Yeah,
they're coming at them.
this has not been like your typical lockdown Conte team.
Right.
As
In
far
the
as like from what I've seen.
in
Yes,
the
they're still
beginning it
locking it down,
was. Yeah, in the beginning
but
they
they're
were.
actually like they're
Yeah.
definitely more adventurous. They're definitely more free to attack, and I kind of think you have to do that against these teams like Verona, like the teams you should be beating. You kind
Conte
of
always
have to
does
take
that.
it to them. Otherwise, you risk yourself having to deal with some late goal, like the teams like Milan and Juve and all these teams have had to deal with. Because if you let them in the game a little bit, only one goal can change it. So I mean, like you just keep on the gas. Yes, you take a break when you absolutely have to, but no, I haven't seen like that. Like
Yeah.
what people expect of Conte here.
There are so many misconceptions and so many cliches that are just British media driven because they're so stupid. It make me so mad. But like they're playing some of the best football in all Serie A right now. Their offensive movement is beautiful. The way the players are working together. Neres has been absolutely outstanding.
And theirs has been great.
McTominay and Guisa's getting it together. I mean, with Juan Jesus in defense, they have 3 clean sheets and only allowed 1 goal in 4 games.
It's a sign
That's
of a good coach when you can't really pick out a couple bad players, right?
right.
You look at there and everybody's level is rising. So far, I mean, and hey, season's not over, but so far, what we have to deal with as of right now, everybody's rising to the occasion. Everybody's chipping in. Everybody's playing a role. It's because of the coach, right? Whereas you look at the other teams who are struggling and maybe aren't fully backing them. This player's having an issue. This player's not playing well. This guy's off. It's nonstop, right? But on the teams where everything's kind of clicking and the coach has your ear, yeah, you see them all playing well. I mean, Di Lorenzo is having probably the best season I've ever seen him play.
Yeah, he's just the
I
best
mean,
he's ever
he
played.
actually looks good.
Yep.
And I've never liked him as a player. I thought he was very overrated. This season, he's not overrated at all. He's been great.
These, there's such a great structure. Whatever Conte does all week in practice, no one else does it as good as him. There's not a single coach on the planet that gets guys ready to play better than him. And I don't want to hear crying about 1 game a week. Yes, he has 1 game a week right now. Yes, he doesn't
Yeah,
give a shit about the
this is
Copa. No
his
one
role.
does. Yes.
You
Um, he,
they're trying to win.
he's also won out of his 4 Scudetti. He's won 3 of those while playing in multiple competitions. When he won with Chelsea, those in England they play like 8 different fucking cups. So let's all relax about that. That's another dumb cliche. Right now, he's got 1 competition because that's what Napoli earned last year. and they're doing great with it. Now there are definitely some chinks in the armor. Their bench is horrible, absolutely horrible. Um, this is a Giuntoli team. They don't have a bench. They're getting they're getting coached up real well right now, and the
They're gonna have a
signings
bench
they
very
made,
soon, though.
they're making
They're
good
gonna be fine.
pushes for people. Mana is a good director. He did an amazing job with Juventus's next gen. They have so much talent in their system. I mean, Giuntoli sold them all, but I mean, they're so good. He literally made a lot of money selling them. So he's going to be rebuilding that slowly over time, but getting people who know their place on the roster, like Billy Gilmore knows he's the backup. Scuffet, the reason they got rid of Caprile was awesome, and he's only on loan still. So I mean, and I think it's option if they stay up, then they can have an option to buy him. So there's still a chance he can come back, yada yada yada. But Scuffet's a good proper backup. So he's bringing in people who are going to know their place on the team,
It's
and
better for the locker room, right? Because you
yeah,
don't have like those kind of personalities that are like going to poison a good thing.
yeah, you don't just
But
pick up 25 starters and say, oh, here we go. It's like that's not how it works. You got to have people who know their role.
yeah,
And
there's a couple of spots where
yeah,
you want a little bit of competition,
yeah,
but for the most
definitely.
part, your guys are your guys because you want to show them that you have faith in them, right?
Yep.
And then when somebody feels they got faith in them, they feel honestly they oftentimes play a lot better.
They
That's just what
definitely
happens.
they definitely need to replace Kvaratskhelia because the big news, obviously is Kvaratskhelia wants to leave now. He wants to get his bag. Um,
Well, that's what I was
he,
saying. They're going to get depth because
yeah.
Kavar is going to go, and they're going to get a couple signings in that's going to give them some
I
depth.
hope they have
And
time to
then
get
when
those
Osimhen
signings.
goes, yeah, I know it's coming down to it, but when
Yeah.
Osimhen goes in the summer, going into next year, that's another big chunk of change. So they will have their depth come next year. It's just
Yes.
right now we'll see what they do in
Right now
January,
they're in a
but they
Scudetto
will have
push.
enough money to do what they need to do.
It was a major dick move to do the Sinopoli in January. He's doing it, but he should have done it probably a month ago, given them time to at least find a replacement. Now they have 2 weeks to replace, one of their best players, and that's a tall order. They have to get that. First they have to get him sold, and now
Yeah.
they're in a panic that PSG, that's the vacant team that he wants to go to. They're going to jerk him around for put their backs against the
Yeah, I
wall.
mean, I don't blame them. Like
Yeah, they're in a power
business wise, what do
position.
you do? Yeah, of course.
But Napoli doesn't have to sell him. Napoli has the contract, so Napoli can also tell him to f off too. So I
Oh, for
hope that
sure.
Napoli stays strong. And if Kvaratskhelia wants to be a dick, and I told you he was this
Yeah,
guy
then
at the
then
beginning of
you
the season. I remember
you
talking
sit him on
about
the
this.
bench.
Yeah, I've never been a major fan. I think he had a great season. I think he was an awesome player. But when he started denying all those, I thought it was De Laurentiis going to jerk you around. That's the kind of guy he is. He's like we made a contract, now you want more money, blah blah blah. He offered him the money. He offered it multiple times, multiple good contracts. Turn him down, turn him down, turn him down. Yes, he has a douchey entourage, douchey agent. I get it. Okay, fine. Real dick move to do it right now when the team that made you what you are. They didn't have to bring you in. You didn't have. He could have gone to another team that wasn't a Scudetto caliber team that didn't have all that talent around him that made him shine and made him
Yeah,
a
I mean, like
multimillionaire.
right here, he could at least held out and say, "Listen, like I want to leave in summer at least,
Yeah,
but I'll play it and I'll do my best for the remainder of the season. But yeah, you gotta let me go to a reasonable team in
yeah.
summer. Okay, cool. They gotta struck something. But yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna be fine though, um, as long as they don't have some injuries. Because
That's what I
now,
mean. That's the problem because if Neris goes down,
yeah,
they're fucked. Neris is amazing. He's Neris has been way better than Kvaratskhelia, not even close as a matter of fact. But if that guy goes down, they're fucked. They need something in terms of some attacking force up there, and they need
yeah.
it like now. They almost need to buy it before they sell Kvaratskhelia, just
Have
because.
they been linked at all with any
Yeah,
wingers?
well, there's been a few. There's Kulishevsky, Zagrova. The big one right now is
Okay,
Garnacho,
that's right. Yeah, they
Chiesa.
haven't.
Yeah, there've been a few along those lines that they've been
We'll
linked
see what
with.
they can pull off. It's going to be a
Yeah,
very interesting time. But I mean, as far as their actual performance goes, Napoli's cleaning house, but it's really going to be
yeah,
about
they look great.
how can they strengthen enough to get enough depth to continue this
Yep.
Scudetto push.
Yep. They need to get Buongiorno's coming back in probably 2 weeks, but they have a tough schedule right now. Napoli
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
couple of
they're
these
going to get
three of these
Atalanta
teams.
next. So in
Yeah.
about 4 days, they get Atalanta.
Yeah, Napoli
So
get yeah. Well, and there's another one too. It's Napoli get hold on.
and Juve right afterwards. You
Atalanta.
got Atalanta, and then a week later you have Juve.
Yeah. So I mean, those are two tough games.
Yeah,
right back to back like that. And then they got Roma on February 2nd.
Yeah, who's playing better? No, it's a tough schedule. Tough schedule.
But
I mean,
after they
we'll
get
see what
through
happens.
this, after they get through this, it's pretty smooth sailing. Yeah, well, now they got Lazio, and then they got Inter. After the Inter match, they got Fiorentina, and then it should be pretty smooth sailing.
No,
Yeah,
they're gonna
they
have
got like
a
two months.
tough month and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, their
if they
last
get
like
through
8 games,
February,
they should roll. Yeah,
if they get through February better than expected, they're probably gonna
yeah,
win the Scudetto. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean
we will see.
everyone's got these ugly matches coming up. Everyone's beating everybody. It's just a matter of who's going to put together the most consistent performances week to
Yeah,
week. You
that's
know,
what you're seeing in Serie A right now. You're
yeah.
seeing a lot of failure to capitalize,
Yep.
and then just two teams staying steady, and those are pulling away.
Yep.
Last game, as we talk about more teams kind of stumbling and failing, Fiorentina versus Monza. Monza, the team that can't buy a win, wins 2-1 versus Fiorentina,
Yep.
and Fiorentina didn't even look good.
No, they
So it wasn't like they were just like dominating and Monza got some lucky
it's
goals. No, no. Fiorentina didn't look good. Monza, at periods, actually just looks better. Fiorentina has not been looking good of late, and they're a team who I really like. I don't like seeing them struggle this much. And I think it's more than just losing Bove. I think that Palladino is finding an issue with when the team struggles. How does he turn this around? He's a young coach. Dealing with adversity is a massive thing, and he never expected to fly this high pride with Fiorentina at the get go. Now let's see how he responds. So far not so good. Let's see how the next 4 or 5 games go. But I don't like how he's responded to this so far. Team
I
is not playing well.
Fiorentina has a midfield problem. Fiorentina has no central midfield whatsoever. It's terrible. It's absolutely invisible. Um, and that's the main problem with their team right now. I think it's starting to spiral out of control. So now you're seeing some of the wingers play poorly. I mean, I thought actually Kopani was good today. So Till's always somewhat
I
dangerous.
just don't think he's good at winger. I mean, I get it if like you just need to put somebody there.
I
I
agree.
think he's a waste of space there. I think he actually has a lot of talent if you tuck him inside and just let him do his thing.
Yep.
But if you're gonna jam the 4-2-3-1 over and over again when you lose a key player, like you're playing guys that don't really belong there now. I
I
don't
th-
get it. Tuck him inside, you're gonna have a much better performance.
they started the season out with 3-4-3, a 3-4-2-1. That's what Kopani was brought in to play. But it failed. The third center back, whether it was Quarta or this young guy they got, was not playing well. Against Juventus, they went back to it briefly. They hadn't done it in a while, and yeah, it didn't work very well. The problem is, yeah. So now you got Kopani out of position. I would like to see him, in the hole in that attacking midfield role. I know he likes to play on the wing like all young players do because it's easier. But at some point you got to grow up and be a big boy, especially if you're an attacking midfielder type. You got to be able to play inside. So it's a matter of him making a personnel decision on what he wants to do, and I think that would actually help the central midfielders out because Kopani does help out defensively. He's not amazing at it, but he actually gets back and
You
does
could just
help.
make him a center mid. You could
Yeah,
play a 3-man mid and keep him there, and then you can keep
yeah.
your form decent, right? Do like something like a 4-3-1-2 and let Sotil drift wide sometimes. I'm sure Sotil can hack it as like a center forward playing off Keane or put Goodmanson up there.
4-3-3
There's
is
things
probably
there's
better.
things you
Yeah,
can do. There's things you can do, but I just think that keeping two people in the midfield, Oddly and Richardson, Oddly Cataldi, whatever you want to
yeah.
do,
They're not
two
very
people
good.
in
Yeah,
there, right, who aren't defensively stout enough to lock that down and playing guys out of position is quite bad.
yeah.
Like that's not good. That's not good formational work by Palladino. I think he needs to
Well,
change his ASAP. The four-man backline's fine, but you can do something else with your remaining six guys.
I'm not going to bust his balls about the formation because honestly, I don't think he has the center midfielders that he needs to
Then you got
lock.
to stack it.
Yeah, right.
You got to
You
stack
got to
it. Don't
crowd
don't
it.
play
Yeah.
two of them. Yeah,
Yes.
if you have two guys who can't play defense, you got to play three,
Yeah.
or you got to change your back line. You can't keep running two people who are going to get smoked all game long. I mean, you're going against Monza who runs a 3-4-2-1, right?
Mhm.
They're going to plow the midfield and they got dominated. Like Bondo was dominating.
Oh,
Like
Bondo's and
not going
that
to work.
who's that? Bianco.
Yeah,
He just
Bondo
he just
and
freaking
Bianco.
runs, baby. Yeah, I love that guy.
Fury was
Yeah.
active. I mean, like the whole
Mhm.
team was active. They're
Bondo was
swarming
awesome.
him,
Yeah.
and you got two guys back there.
Mhm.
That's it.
Maldini looked
With
good today.
Oddly Richard. Yeah, one thing looked good.
Yeah, so the critique I had in the past was Ali Cataldi was a really bad setup, and I was like, well, Richardson's at least more of a physical presence than them. He's a young kid, he's kind of skinny, but he's at least a better
Not
tack.
really.
He was terrible. No, I mean he didn't do at all what I thought he would do. I mean he did about the same job as Cataldi. The problem was Adley was really bad today defensively. I mean I
Yeah,
think
he
he was
wasn't good.
responsible for both goals, and it's just like, come on, dude. But the whole team was off. They need to figure out something. They brought in Foloruncho, which is exactly not the kind of player profile that they needed for the central midfield.
100% is
Foloruncho,
not the right. I mean, they're already playing. So, and I know oddly well since I've seen him on Milan. They're already playing oddly out of position. They're just able to make it work because they had a guy like Bobe who was just running around everywhere, and then Cataldi's not terrible at it. And the team was kind of on fire, but it doesn't really work. Oddly's not a D mid. He was forced to play there for Milan because they had nobody else, but he's not a D mid. He's a CM or he's an attacking mid. He is not a D mid. So that's not the right
yeah,
spot for
he's
him.
not going to
And
cover
they
your
have
defenders up.
no, they have no actual D mids on this team.
Right.
Like Cataldi is, but he's like that's not the guy. It's not the.
No,
They need a D mid.
they definitely need a deep mid, and yeah, the problem is they brought in Foloruncho, which is just another one of the same kind of players. It's like
He's a
I
center mid, man. He's a center
yeah.
mid.
Yeah, they're in some deep shit right now. I really think that they're gonna tank hard. They need some easy games, and we were hoping that Monza was the game, but I don't think
Holland should have been the game. They
that's
can't
the
beat
worst team in
anybody.
the league. Yeah, it's the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't score. They yeah, they got Torino next, and then who's after Torino? Lazio.
I
So I
don't
mean,
know.
then they got another tough ass game against Lazio, who's Lazio's
Uh,
pissed. Yeah,
yeah.
I think things are gonna get pretty ugly for
Fiorentina,
Fiorentina.
unless they really figure something out and make a couple good signings, Fiorentina may fall, and it's too bad because they're actually one of the teams that I like the most in the league right now.
I really do. They need to they need to find out how to make that center midfield more stout. And
Yep.
I
Yep.
think maybe going with the three man is the right way to go.
Yep. And there
It's
may be a couple games where they're gonna look rough, like
yeah.
because if you switch it and all of a sudden it doesn't work well for one game, it doesn't mean go back, right? You try it for a few games, let these guys get into it. You know, I get it if it's a failed experiment, but you got to give it more than a game.
Yeah, I honestly Cataldi is the best tackler on
Yeah,
option out
you
there.
have to run
Or
him.
Mandragora. Mandragora is too. One of those guys has got to just stay
Just
back.
run those three.
Yeah.
Run Cataldi as an actual D mid, run Mandragora, and then run Ali as a CM, not a DM, right?
Mhm.
And then they can all play in that midfield spot. You can run, two and then one. You can run
So 4-3-3.
Sotil and Kolpani, kind of, but you can have one tuck in. You can run Kolpani, Sotil, and then Keane, or you can run Goodmanson,
Kopani's going to always be
Kolpani,
able to
or
tuck in
Goodman,
because you got Dodo. Dodo just, he's up and down the sideline all day.
right?
So
And you got
yeah,
Goodmanson too, is a good player. So I mean, like you
yeah,
got these guys who like you could be play Goodmanson with Sotil or Kolpani. Those guys can rotate, and then you got Keane up front. I think
yeah.
they do need to switch formations. Keep the four-man back line because obviously defenders they're a little more comfortable with that. Those defenders are, and then change to a three-man mid. It's
Well,
gonna at least
they
give you
just
another
don't have
body
a
there.
third guy to bring in to play that third. Like I liked Martinez Cuarta. I don't know what happened with him under Palladino, but he's back in Argentina. He's not even playing on a proper team anymore.
That's kind of weird. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought he was actually pretty
yeah,
decent.
he he had a
Back,
really
but
good season last year. So, uh, um, it, this is why we don't um, make our socks crispy over coaches that have a good season, right? Like guys like Mota and Palladino. You need to see them have some struggles. Like, Conti went through it. He had I think it was Siena. He had a pretty bad season with them. Let them get that shit out of their system, and let them deal with some adversity when it's not on a top club that where all of the fans are just enraged.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
You don't
so
have time on a
yeah,
big club is the biggest difference. So,
yeah.
but hey, this
He's a
will
good
actually
coach.
be.
He's learning.
Oh, he's definitely a good coach,
Yeah.
but this will actually be a really good thing from going forward. If he can turn this around in a couple of games' time, this will show you a lot about Palladino. If he's like, all right,
Yes.
he takes 2, 3, 4 more games, kind of still sliding, and then bam, he catches fire again. You got to go in on your hands. So hopefully he does. I like him so far. But
Yeah.
the next few games will be a big test.
Yeah. Let's talk
Um,
about those next few games here, 'cause that wraps up the review. And
yeah,
but this is like the finishing games of match day 19.
yeah. Let's maybe do. How long are we on the cast
Who
here?
cares? Just finish. We'll finish it up with the
There's a
review and
lot. I don't know if we go through this one plus the other ones. There's a lot of games, but we'll
that's
at
fine.
least cover the next match day 19 ones that
Yeah,
still to be
19.
made up.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, you got Como, Milan.
Como's playing well, and Milan are coming off a game that they should have won.
I would have said Milan should have carried through the rest of the month
Yeah,
because they don't have a tough schedule. Or I mean, besides Juve, they don't have that tough a schedule, and Juve kind of sucks right now.
Juve sucks, dude.
So like, Milan should have cleaned up, but
Mhm.
I don't even know what to think with them anymore. I still think they're gonna pull it off. I don't think they're gonna have like two like
Well,
losses or draws in a row. I think they'll do 2-1 against Como
I
maybe.
will say this. Okay, when I was watching Milan, you know, when they had Fonseca, and I'm not a Fonseca hater. I don't really give a shit, quite frankly. You know, they looked very drab,
Anemic.
anemic. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
They were
They were
all
just living off
over.
of Pulisic
Yeah,
and Rangers.
they were all over Cagliari. They created, I think it was like 25 freaking shots
Yeah,
on
I mean
goal.
Tammy missed some sitters
Yeah,
too. Like
dude.
Morata missed some sitters. It was they
Yeah.
created enough opportunities to win.
Yep. You know, got to put the ball in the net, guys. So they definitely were creating chances, and like that. That's to me, if you're creating chances, eventually they will go in. So I think they're doing the
Yeah,
right
which
things.
is not something you're seeing teams like Juve.
Correct. That's the whole problem with them. It's like they're not even making the opportunities. Like Vlahovic gets like
It's a struggle
one
for them to
shot
even
on
get.
goal, and he
Yeah,
freaking shanks it because he's a spaz, and then it's like, oh, he's a loser. It's like, we got one shot. You know,
yeah.
maybe
There's
give
like
him like
zero
four.
consistency.
Yeah,
He doesn't get to get into any rhythm. It's
yeah.
just like you
No,
better bury that one chance you get a
yeah,
game
you're
because if
getting
you
one
don't, your
chance.
team's losing.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not that guy. He's not the guy that's gonna just be deadly. You know,
Yeah, he's not
you
that
know,
like ice cold. Like, hey, I get
yeah.
one shot a game and I bury it every time.
No,
Like that's pretty rare, man.
definitely not. So I think Milan. I mean, I would expect them to win because especially coming
Same
off
here.
the last match, and even though Coma's playing well, I think Paz is still out. So no, I expect I'm going to predict
I think
a
Milan will win.
2-1 win. I think a 2-1 win.
I agree. Atalanta Juve. What do you
Oof.
think?
So I predicted a
I'll go
1-0 Juve
first.
win.
I'll go a tie 1-1 because Juventus likes to tie, and I don't think Atalanta is in great form right now. I think they're starting
Yeah.
to fade a little bit. I think they're still good, but I think they're starting to fade a little bit. So I'm gonna go
Atalanta
1-1
are
tie.
definitely well. So Retegui is back for this game. Retegui has been out,
Okay,
and
it's
Retegui
yeah,
has been someone that
that's
was
a big win
missed.
for them.
Yes, I think that in some of those games that they've been struggling with lately, they just need an actual proper number nine.
Yep.
Lukeman is not that. De Ketelaere is not that. You just need a number nine to make those runs, to have that presence, to occupy defenders, and he
Score
will
those
be
poster
back
goals
against
too.
Juve.
You know,
Yeah, yeah. I think this. I think that I can tell you how well we'll do in the first 15 minutes of the game because if Thiago Motta comes out and actually locks on the defense and plays on a counterattack, I think we're going to win 1-0. If Thiago Motta thinks we're going to play the 2-7-2 Pep Guardiola wannabe ball with our loser roster, I think we're gonna draw or lose. I think we're gonna lose our first game of the season if he chooses to
fair
do
enough.
that. Because I think that yes, Atalanta are struggling, but just like they think they're a big team now, so they're pumped up to play. Their players get pumped up to play these big games and not so much
Yeah.
in the provinces. So no, that's a game I'm definitely worried about for sure. And Atalanta, they like we said, they slipped up the past 2 weeks. I mean, they
Yeah, they
can't.
missed on a little bit.
Yeah, they slip up again. I mean, they're pretty far back,
This
out of
if
the
this is a
race.
loss to Juve, right, and then Inter cleans up like their win, I mean, then the top two are definitely pulling ahead. So, which I guess is the next game, Inter Bologna,
Well,
big game here. Inter's not
Shalanoglu is
looking
still
the
out.
best. Exactly, they don't have their guys. Is Turam back?
Yes.
Okay, Turam
Yep.
is back, which
Thuram came on
might tip
last
me
game. Yeah.
in the favor. I was gonna say
Yeah.
a tie, but then I'll go 2-1 Inter.
But there's a big piece coming back for Bologna. Do you
Who's
know
coming
who?
back from Bologna?
Pobega.
He's the X factor.
He is.
He's the X
He's
factor.
he's the
He
sex
could
factor.
pop in with like 2 goals.
Yeah.
You never know.
That dude, he's having a great season. Okay.
Yeah, he
If
actually is playing well.
if he doesn't get a red card, he's gonna score a goal. That's the Pobega way. He's the freaking riverboat gambler. I'm gonna,
He's the
I'm
X
going
factor of this game.
I'm
Are
going
you going
upset.
tie?
I'm
You
going
going to win?
upset. No, 1-1. It's gonna be 1-1.
Okay.
And
All right.
Inter's
So
so good.
perfect.
They're not gonna lose to Bologna.
So you're going 1-1. I'll go 2-1 Inter. So I think both of the Milan teams go 2-1. I think it's gonna be a draw 1-1 Atalanta Juventus.
Yeah.
Relatively close game. So I don't think any of those games can be a blowout. The only one that has potential to be a blowout will be Milan Como if they catch fire in the first 15 minutes.
You never know. I mean, Inter could go absolutely apeshit.
Maybe.
I
I
mean,
don't know. They
Bologna
just haven't been looking like that.
Bologna definitely. Okay, so a team that presses as aggressively as Bologna is a team
Yeah,
that
they can be
Inter
fun.
will destroy. Yeah, like Inzaghi wants that. He wants you to press him. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that does
Inzaghi.
play right into their hands. I
Yeah,
wonder if they'll be able to adjust, but
yeah. That's the worrying thing about that game because Bologna's a good
stylistically, yeah,
squad.
you're right.
Yeah,
Form wise, it's a little closer, I
yeah,
think.
it is. It is, and Bologna should be pissed. They've had a couple stink bombs. I think the week before that, who they blow it against with the Pobega red card. That was
I
Verona.
can't remember.
Verona, yeah. Pobega red card
Yeah, they've
against
had two,
Verona.
man. The Verona game, and
Yeah.
then they had Roma on the ropes like the last minute of the game. So I mean, like
Yep.
that's two matches right there where 4 points were dropped that really shouldn't have been. So actually, did they lose or tie Verona?
They lost to Verona.
And they lost.
They lost in the 88th minute on an own
That's
goal.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were
So I mean,
down.
those are some big points blown already, and they're still doing decent.
They
So
came back after being a man down. They were down a man, and they tied the game up, and then they gave up an
they
own
got
goal
scored
in
in the
the
game.
88th minute. Yeah. So it's just that kind of a team. So that's the Italiano's just a wild man, dude.
Since we will probably not make another preview cast before that, let's quickly run through the next week's
Yeah.
games because they are going to be on the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th of so coming up just in like a week basically. So Roma, Genoa, um,
Ooh, this
man,
is a good.
Genoa's been doing quite good. It's gonna be a good game.
I think Roma's got it. I think they're going to take it 1-0 though, because Genoa
Think
is
so?
Genoa's
Unless I'm
super
looking pretty good,
stout.
man.
Genoa's looking good, but in Roma is they just had a tough one. Ranieri is not really losing matches. Neither is Genoa really. So
Tie,
tie. You
two,
think
two tie.
2-2?
I'm gonna go tie. If Dybala is not totally on fire, it's definitely gonna be a tie.
I say 1-0
Um,
Roma.
I like it.
I think Bologna
Bologna
is going to
Monza.
spank Monza. I think it's going to be 3-0, 4-0, something like that.
I think they'll win. Yeah, like
Yeah,
3-1,
I
something
think they're
like
going to
that.
spank them. They're going to take out their frustrations of the past couple of weeks.
Juve Milan.
Oh God. Well, the last one was one of the biggest stink bombs I've ever seen. I think that here's what I think. I think when these two teams faced off in the Supercoppa, I think that it was Conceição's first game. That first half was pretty sloppy from Milan. I think that we'll see a little bit more how Milan is. I think they're going to keep coming together and getting better. I think Milan are going to beat Juventus 2-0. And this
Two
is the
nothing.
first. This is the first time I predicted Juventus to lose, by the way. So I just want to say that. But I think that Milan are a very talented team that needed motivation. They just have a bunch of prima donna bitch boys, and Conceição is motivating them. And I think that Juventus is really struggling right now. I don't think I think it's going to get worse if it ever gets better. And I think that yeah, I think they're going to have a tough game against Atalanta and another tough one against Milan. I really do. I think Milan is going to come out and pound.
Man, I don't know which way to go with this game. It's like if Milan actually cleans up this next game here, then I think that they'll beat Juve. If they don't, I actually think it's gonna be a tie.
I don't. I think Milan's it plays is going to play better no matter what against a team like Juventus. I think
Oh, they
Milan's
will.
yeah
They will. It's just will they win or not? I mean, it's
yeah.
hard to say. Like I could see it. I could see a 1-1. I mean,
We're
if
predicting a
Vlahovic is back,
draw
maybe you could see 2-2. I mean, yeah,
when
that's all I want to do this season with Juve. Just predict
yeah
draws.
well you have a 90% chance of being correct.
Yeah.
So
But there's some big games.
yeah.
I mean, Roma Genoa is good.
Yeah.
Juve Milan. So honestly, I will go draw. I'll go 1-1.
I actually
Um,
want Juventus to lose just to get that slap in the face. Be like, okay, now can we stop with the stupid undefeated bullshit and can we?
and just
Can
let's just
yeah.
play. Just
Yes.
play. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Next massive game, Atalanta Napoli.
Oh, that's yeah. Well, I think the last time it was what 3-0 Atalanta. I think Napoli are playing a lot better. I think a lot of what's going to happen in this game is going to hinge on Buongiorno being back. I doubt it. So I think that Atalanta is going to get another one, but I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think it's going to be 2-1 with the late goal Atalanta.
Really, I think that if Atalanta doesn't, and if Napoli actually wins this, you can count Atalanta's Scudetto hopes goodbye. I think that
Correct.
this would be. I mean, and they are the type of team who we were talking earlier who could catch Conte out because sometimes if you're just on fire and you're just attacking like crazy and it works out, then boom, you can take them down.
Yeah.
But you just
Yeah.
never know. If I don't know, Atalanta's a streaky team.
There.
They haven't been looking amazing the last few games here. So and Napoli's been looking really good. I don't
Napoli
think
has been
Atalanta's
looking
going to pull it
amazing.
off.
Yeah.
I think Napoli's going to
Ah,
pull this one off about 2-1. I think
here's
Napoli's going to do well.
here's what scares me about Atalanta. So in the last match for Napoli against Verona, They had let up a lot of counterattacks, and I know
Yeah.
Napoli won't play the same way. Oh yeah, Napoli were definitely getting really aggressive with Verona, trying to get that second goal, even to get that first goal. They had some very sketchy moments at the back on counterattacks, and against good teams that can punish you. There that will be a major problem. Atalanta is absolutely one of
Oh,
those
definitely. No,
teams that can punish you.
I
So
thought they could do the same thing that they did first time. It's highly
yeah,
possible.
yeah.
I just think that Napoli's a little more prepared, a little more well organized, and Atalanta's not in the best of form like they were last time. So I'm going to go Napoli win two
Well,
one. So we're both going to choose 2-1 just in reverse form.
also the last time these two teams played, Conte did not park the bus. If you want to take a page, if you want to see the recipe for beating Atalanta, you need to go back to last year when Allegri dominated his face by just literally parking the bus all over it and winning with 1-0 with the dirty goal.
Well,
I mean,
Inter
Atalanta
usually does well
couldn't
against
do
them too
anything.
because they just play counterattack against them.
Well, yeah, Inter is a whole different. Yeah, they have a whole different style. Any
You can
team
do
that
so. You can sit
presses,
back and counterattack. Yeah, I mean
yeah,
it's
yeah,
similar but different. Yeah.
Inter dominates the press. Yeah, so any team that presses aggressively, they're going to
Yeah.
dominate. But yeah, I think that Napoli, I would love to see them just park the bus and get. I don't care if they get a 0-0 with Atalanta. That'd be beautiful.
Fiorentina, Torino.
Oh man,
Oh man,
Fiorentina. Torino is a strong team. They are. I mean physically strong.
scrappy man.
They're
No, they're
scrappy.
they're they're a scrappy team. They'll tie games that they shouldn't really be tying. I
They
mean,
also
it's
patch the midfield. They pack the midfield too.
they do. Yeah,
Ah,
I think they run like five across, right?
yes, they do. That is going to be a
It's
tough one for Fiorentina again, man. I
I
think
know.
Fiorentina's screwed, dude. I think they're just done.
I actually think Torino's going to either tie or win this game
Yeah,
because of that right there. If Fiorentina doesn't magically bring somebody in like 5 days that changes their whole midfield or has a whole new midfield
they're
strategy,
not.
you're going to
Yeah,
put five busy midfielders against the Fiorentina two.
right. Oh, they're.
You're basically all in on Moise Keane scoring a couple goals, or Fiorentina's not going to win this game.
I mean, modern. The modern game is their defenders are so bad. It's all about
All
stuffing
midfield,
the
man.
midfield.
It
It's
is
all
all
midfield.
about midfield quality. Yep.
And they're just doing it
Yep.
with numbers because the players are bad too in the midfield. It's just they're just throwing numbers in the midfield, congesting everything, and
Hard work,
Fiorentina's losing
work
that
rate,
battle. Yeah,
and stacking it is a good recipe against anyone in the modern game. So
correct.
Torino's got that. That's why they're hard to beat, and they're not like an easy team for anybody to face. So yeah, hard game. Next is Venezia Parma.
Mm.
I don't even know. I mean, who would you choose here?
I don't know. Venezia, because I like
There
it
you
better.
go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go Venezia too. I'll go
Oristano hat
2-1.
trick, baby. Yes.
Yeah, right. Lecce Cagliari.
I like Lecce. I like what they're doing. I like the way they play. Um, I like the way they do lock shit down. But
I'm
let's
gonna
see
go
if
busier game. I'm gonna go 3-2.
3
Lecce.
2. Okay, I'm gonna go 1-0 Lecce. Yeah.
I'm gonna go 3-2. I'm gonna go busy game here.
Okay.
3-2
I
Lecce.
like it. I like it.
Lazio Verona. Does Lazio finally get
Yes.
back on the gas?
Yes.
Because they've been
Definitely.
stumbling a lot lately.
Definitely. This is another test for I think Baroni's in the same boat as Palladino. Like we got to find out a lot about them. They have some.
Yeah, Brony.
Baroni, yeah. You can't keep stumbling against teams like this. So sooner or later, he's either going to get his shit together or it's all going to fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, I keep predicting that they're gonna like save it now. I predicted that hey, they would either tie or beat Roma, even though I thought Roma was on the better form. They didn't look good at all against them, and then predicted that they would at least beat Como. Nope, didn't happen. They're at home too,
Hmm.
and so I don't know, man. I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith, but I'm still gonna go with them winning. I'm gonna go 2-1 or 3-1.
I really like their team this year. They're definitely. I mean, the whenever I see Della Bashiro and what is it, Chukwumuna or whatever, whenever I see them both on the field, I'm like, this could be a tough one. Zakani needs to be out there. They really need Pedro back big time. He scored a ton of clutch goals for them. Like these late game goals that aren't happening for
Kanye out?
Lazio.
Is he
Yeah,
injured?
I don't know. He maybe he was last game. But
Yeah, he was not on the bench for
yeah,
the last game. And I mean, is Tavares
he could have been
finally back
suspended.
and healthy, or is he still kind of coming
He's
back
he
from
does not look
injury?
as good as he was before the injury. That's for sure. And now he's just
Okay, so he's still
basically
kind of getting back. Mm.
Yeah, and like Pellegrini's actually been not playing it because Pellegrini can play some defense too, which
I mean,
Tavares
that
can't.
explains it, right? The
Yeah.
only one of their best players who's still been healthy and good is going to be Ravella, right? But their
Yep.
other best players, Tavares and Zaccagni, have not either been
Yep.
injured or
Zaccani
just
was out, I think, on
not there.
suspension. I think he was suspended from the Roma
Yeah,
game or
suspension.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Zaccagni's a
Yeah.
good player though. So I
But
mean, you lose those guys, it does change your team. Like, not, like they don't have a massive,
oh, big
massively
time.
roster. So
And Pedro was scoring clutch late goals for them, and
that's what
or
he does.
and or making clutch late plays. That's exactly the guy they needed in some of these games. That are,
Yeah, he'll
most of their
grind
games
you
are
out
going late.
those wins, against these
Exactly.
smaller teams when nobody's caring. He's gonna come out and actually care.
That's where the
Yep.
class comes in. That's where the class comes in.
All right, let's
Oh,
see.
Inter
Last two
Empoli.
games. Inter Empoli, I think they continue their train. I don't think Empoli's good enough to surprise Inter. Inter's at home. I'm gonna go 2-0
Yeah, I'm
Inter.
agreeing with that. Yeah.
I don't think Empoli's
Empoli
great. You
can be.
never know.
Empoli can put a game together though. They can.
Yes. Yeah. They're not a bad team and they've got some good
Yeah.
strikers there, maybe Colombo will pay Inter a gift. But
Yeah.
I got to go with the Inter win here. And then the very last game is Como Udinese. Both teams who
Good
have actually been
match.
playing pretty well recently. Um, Maybe I'll go draw because I kind of think that's where they're going to be at on form. I'll go with like 1-1 or 2-2 draw.
I know. I'm gonna say Como's gonna win. I think Como is on the up and up. I really do.
All right.
I think
That's
they've been
it.
looking really good lately. So.
Those are the predictions here. A lot of stuff coming up. Next, we will be doing a
Yeah.
midweek check-in on some of the transfer news. We'll kind of pick a couple of the big teams and see whether they're going
No,
with
we're gonna
this.
get down and dirty with Juventus for sure. I want to do it with Milan as well. I want to see what your you put a couple fingers inside the team and see what happens. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do Juve, we'll do Milan. But I do think we should do after those, we should do a little roundup here. We're getting towards like that mid-January. We could do a little transfer roundup and see what the big couple teams are doing. But that's it for me today.
Yeah.
Um, Thanks to everyone for joining us. And
Yeah.
as always, Forza Culture.
Yeah.
Ciao.